Hello there, and welcome to a more impromptu video. I've made this tier list recently with 200 Shonen Jump protagonists. I'm gonna put protagonists in quotes because a few people disagree with a few of them, but it's 200 Shonen Jump characters. Why I made this, someone I think asked for one, at some point, and I thought it would be a cool idea. And there's definitely Shonen Jump character tier lists that exist, but often you'll find like Saitama from One Punch Man in there, or just some random shonen protagonist from a shonen like magazine series or something, or a Jump Plus series. And I just wanted to make one just Shonen Jump protagonists, the ones that were hits, not only the ones people like will know, so a lot of older ones as well. And if you've been following along with the history videos, you'll recognize most of these faces. That being said, there will be a lot of characters, and I'll scroll down, which you will not recognize, and you will not be able to read the manga they're from, so they'll be hard to rank. Why have I done this? It's a bit weird, because I guess the tier list is meant to be kind of filled out, but I don't know, I just wanted to celebrate Jump like entirely as a whole. I really like doing that, so I know a lot of these characters will just kind of be filler for people, but I will go through them if I remember them, because I'm sure there's a couple I do not remember, but I could tell you a little bit about them, so this video might end up being a bit long. I will try my best to be brief though, but we will be going through each and every character. I might tell you why I've included them if they are a bit of an odd pick. Just so you know, not every like axed manga, especially recent ones, are on here, but I'm pretty confident that like every big hit is on here, and I've included some axed manga. Some of them might be a bit more personal, and others are just axed manga I feel are relevant in a Shonen Jump community context. And with that out of the way, I think we're going to jump in. I think my tiers are self-explanatory. Except maybe don't know but seems cool. I'm just going to put characters there who I think seem cool but I haven't read. And we're going to actually start with Kujira Daigo. I'm going to put in there and I'm going to tell you why. So Kujira Daigo is the character on the very first issue of Jump, and the translation for the manga is Whale Daigo, and it just seems to be about this big friendly guy called Daigo. So I'm going to put him there because he seems really friendly. He's a really chill looking guy. These are also all dated as well, so 68 means 1968, the year Jump debuted. And we also have Hayato Nanjo. He is from Chichi no Tamashi. I have zero clue what his deal is. Someone who I do know though is Mankichi Tagawa, who is the protagonist of Otoko Ipikigeki Daisho, the first huge Jump mega hit, basically the Dragon Ball of the One Piece of its day. It really helped push Jump into big popularity, and I think he's the kind of shonen poster boy for this period, especially for Jump. And he's also a really, really cool character. I might move him up to favorite because Maikichi just has this really cool charisma to him, which you'll see if you read the series, which I recommend, as parts of it are translated. Maikichi's great though. Another 68 character is Yaso Hachi Yamagishi, who is the protagonist, I guess, from Shameless School, or I'm blanking on the Japanese name, but Go Nagai's kind of first big hit in Jump. Big ecchi manga. He's a bit of a mischievous little kid protagonist. I think he's probably just kind of mediocre. I don't really remember him like too much. Dr. Toilet, I wouldn't say he seems cool, and I also haven't read it, but this is one of Jump's really long like comedy mangas from 1970 onwards. For a long time, I think it was actually the longest manga in Jump. Basically the Kochikame of its time, although it didn't last near as long. Hiroshi and Pionkichi I do have some experience with, and I actually really like them from the few chapters I've read. They're from The Gutsy Frog, which is a manga where this little boy, Hiroshi, gets a frog stuck in his t-shirt, and they just kind of work together really well. They have a really funny rapport with each other, and it's just a kind of, I guess, nicer, mischievous kid character who I really like. Rock Umizato is from another early kind of ecchi comedy series called Arashi Senpiki. I have no idea. Banba Ban is from a baseball manga, which I've completely forgotten. Isamu. I have read a chapter of Isamu. That being said, I don't think Isamu is like grown up enough, and I have only read a single chapter, but he seems cool. This is another kind of Jump poster manga, like a big deal at the time, from 1971 to 1973. Cowboys were big in Jump. A cowboy was kind of the front runner, which I think is cool. Koji Kabuto, might be a name you're familiar with, is the protagonist of Mazinger, which debuted in Jump. I think Koji was fine when I read it. I don't think it was very standout. I think he was a bit cooler than Yasuhachi, but at least in the manga version, he does not stand out much. Kyuichi Uno is the protagonist of Astro Q Dan, which is this baseball manga that was super insane, and it really pushed the idea of superpowered sports in Jump, and can be traced kind of back as a big influence on shonen overall. That being said, I really don't know much, if anything, about the character. Gen Nakaoka is the protagonist of Barefoot Gen, which is another huge manga which people don't think of as a Jump manga. And I haven't read all of Barefoot Gen. I'm not a huge fan. I don't really want to put him in bad, but I think he was kind of mediocre, a bit higher than Koji. He'd probably go up if I read the series more. Show me Ajihei. I might have written some of these wrong, and I might say them wrong as well because of dyslexia, so I'll apologize. This is like 200 years, so please give me a bit of a pass. But Ajihei is from a cooking manga in Jump that went on for a really long time called I think just like Chef Ajihei is the name of the manga. But yeah, Jump had a big cooking manga for a while. I would love to read it, to be honest, but it's not translated. Takao Taniguchi is the protagonist of, I think, Captain, or maybe Play Ball. Damn, there's a lot of early baseball manga. Do you know what? He looks like a nice little guy. I'm going to put him here. He seems cool. Tambataro is a same author as Otoko Ipiki, Hiroshi Motomiya. I'm going to put him here because I generally like Hiroshi Motomiya protagonists, and he seems like a cool little delinquent guy. Hida Reijiro, I will actually put in, I think, okay. Hida Reijiro is from a series called Yokai Hunter, which had a few one-shots in Jump, and isn't the longest series in the world. It's had quite a few like spin-offs and one-shots and all that, but it's quite influential, I think, if you look into its history. A lot of famous people will cite it. I think like Miyazaki, Hideaki Anno have mentioned this series, Yokai Hunter, which is this kind of really dark, brooding take on this archaeologist guy called Reijiro, who goes around like discovering the yokai and stuff. He himself, I think, is a pretty cool character in it, even though he's more of a narration figure kind of style. He's there to kind of tell the facts as they are and explain all the spooky stuff that's happening. Fubuki Yuya is the protagonist of Circuit Wolf, which was a huge racing manga in the middle of the 70s. Probably cool, I don't know. Joji Kano is the protagonist of Doberman Deka, which was a police series, which was big in the 70s. Again, I have no idea how they'd fare, although I do have some experience with this author's manga. I'm forgetting his name, though. Akira Murase, I want to say, like, the manga he's from is, like, The Evil Giants or something, or The Flame Giants, which is another baseball manga. I have zero input on him. And then we have Ryotsu, who is the protagonist of Kochikame, which is the huge Jump gag manga that went on for 2,000 chapters. Thankfully, you can actually read a handful of chapters, and it's really fun. I really like Ryotsu. He's a silly guy. He's always kind of bumming off of work and doing gag protagonist things. So I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna put him in good. I might put him lower than Hiroshi and Pyeongkichi. Maybe this is cheating because they're two characters, but I love their dynamic. They're just a ton of fun. Ippei Fuji is the main character of Susume Pirates, which is Iguchi's first series in Jump. Although that seems a bit more like an ensemble cast. Although I wanted to include someone from it because it did seem like a really popular manga from the time period. Ryuji Takane is the main character of I'm thinking on it. I know the name of it. Why am I blanking? It's a boxing manga. Ring ni Kakuro, or Put It All Into the Ring. So Saint Seiya author's first big hit, which is arguably like just as important, hugely important to shonen manga, and it's not really discussed as much, probably because it doesn't have a full translation and all that. But I really like what I've seen of Ryuji. I'm gonna put him in okay, because you do get to see his journey at the beginning. I haven't read all the manga because it's not translated, but he does transform into this really meek boy, and he gets stronger and more confident, and I really like it. He's a really fun character. Another fun character is Cobra, 1978, which is another manga I think people don't really think of when you think of Shonen Jump. But Space Pirate Cobra and Cobra, very classic, kind of anti-hero-ish kind of character, like Space Rogue, Han Solo. He's really good. He's a really strong character of that archetype. He's really fun to watch. Another pretty good one as well is Kinnikuman. I think what I like about Kinnikuman is there's a earnestness to him, and he fumbles a lot, which is really funny. You get to see him fail, you get to see him fall over. He's just kind of very endearing, but he has the heart. So I can see why Kinnikuman was so popular in the late 70s and early 80s. So with that being said, I'm going to put him at the top of okay. Skullcap Masa is the main protagonist of what is it called? It's Perfect Path High School. That's one variation of the name. It is a delinquent manga by Akira Miyashita that did get cancelled, although it didn't get axed. But this is a popular character who would reoccur in his other works. And Skullcap Masa is just kind of cool. He's kind of gritty. He's just a badass delinquent guy with a skull cap, and sometimes that's all you need. He's cool. I'm not the hugest fan of Akira Miyashita's works, but I do like Skullcap Masa. I think he belongs there. Shohidaka is from, I want to say Play Ball, or it was the tennis one. I think it is Play Ball. I have not read the manga. It's not translated, but it was big from my understanding, or decently big. And here's a character I think more people would know. Aurelie Norimaki from Dr. Slump. She's fun. Peak just Toriyama goofiness. She's great. I think she goes to the top of good tier. You know what? I'm going to move Cobra down a bit as well. I think I like these goofy guys. You know, a bit more. Yeah, I think we'll do that actually. I am a big gag manga fan, if you can't tell. Riki Yamato. So going to the 80s now. He's the protagonist of Riki Typhoon, which is a wrestling manga, which you cannot read. The Kimengumi. Okay, these guys are from third year Kimengumi, or high school Kimengumi, its sequel, and they are 5 boys who all have pun-based names, and I find them really, really annoying. They don't have much character. They are living, walking puns. So I'm going to put them in bad. I'm not going to put them in horrible, but I'll put them in bad. Tora! I'm going to put in horrible. This is another Akira Miyashita manga, which I've read quite a bit of, and I do like his stuff, but Tora is extremely homophobic, so I think he deserves to be in horrible. He just is kind of mean and really, really gross. Someone who is the opposite of that then is Hibari from Stop Hibari-kun, who is an absolute favorite character of mine. You could say the main male character is the protagonist, but the manga is all about Hibari. It is Hibari's manga. She is just a really brilliant character. She's so much fun. She has like so much going for her as well. Trans rap in Shonen Jump in 1981, which is insane, and she's just cool. Like, she has so many fun gags. I love her design, especially like the covers she's on. There's so many good like Shonen Jump covers with her on, and she's just a character I keep thinking about and I want to draw her and stuff, so she's definitely up there. Then we move on to another badass lady. We have Hitomi Kisugi from Cat's Eye, who is this really mature, like, woman lead character. And as much as I think Cat's Eye is a bit repetitive, I think Hitomi's really cool. Again, it's just a character you don't see leading a shonen manga, like an adult woman who has like full-on romances. She's a cat burglar as well. She like steals tons of stuff. I like all of the silly stuff she does, trying to evade her like fiance to be, who's like a cop, so they have a cool back and forth. And she's just classy and fun. Tsubasa Uzora from Captain Tsubasa, which this may upset some readers from other countries where Captain Tsubasa is like officially translated, but I haven't read all of it because the scans in English are really rough. Tsubasa just does not have much of a character to me. He's just kind of good at football and loves football, and that's kind of it. I'm gonna put him in mediocre here. Sorry, Tsubasa. Maybe I'll like you more once I read the continuation from the 90s. Yukito Yoji, is that really his name? He is the protagonist of Black Angels, which is this really gritty assassin manga from Jump in the 80s. He basically kills people with a bicycle spoke, so like the spiky thing in the middle of the bicycle wheels, which is interesting. He doesn't really have much of a character though, although he is kind of cool, so I'm gonna just put him in okay. Jun Kazumi is the protagonist of Yoroshiku Mecha, which I have not read, sadly. Kojiro Fuma is the protagonist of Saint Seiya. I can't remember his name for some reason, the author. His next work. I really like his red hair. He's a fairly like typical hot-blooded shonen protagonist. He definitely feels less interesting than Ryuji though, which makes me... He's kind of mediocre, to be honest. He's a little fun. Like, if you just enjoy shonen manga, like, you'll probably like him a little bit, but I don't think he blows anything out of the water or anything. Then we have BT, who is from a cancelled manga, Araki's first manga in Jump, Cool Shock PT. And BT's a really interesting one. Definitely had more popularity now because he has a couple of spin-offs. And he's this little, almost like proto-Dio character. He plays tricks on people. He does like magic, like tricks, obviously, not actual magic. But he rides the line of being kind of slightly evil, but good as well. And I quite like him. He's a cool little guy. I'm actually going to put him like here, I think. Gin from Ginga, Silverfang, the dog manga, Yoshihiro Takashi. I'm confusing names. A lot of them sound the same. But the author who loves dogs a ton, and this is the dog battle manga from the 80s. I do think his characters aren't the most fleshed out, though. I wouldn't say Yin is like a particularly amazing character. He's like likable and fine. I don't think I'm gonna put him in okay. I probably like him a bit more than Yukito Yoji, so I'll put him in okay there. oh boy, Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. I don't think an introduction is really needed here, but Ken is this really cool character who you might have some preconceptions of him going in, just like big, cool, muscular guy, but the level of emotion he displays in Fist of the North Star is really where it's at. He's just cool, strong man with a heart. Someone like Kiryu, which is a character archetype I really like. Kiryu from Yakuza, by the way. I'm sure there's a bunch of different Kiryus. But yeah, he's definitely amazing. I think I'm going to put him here just below my Kichi. Kenta Hirono is the protagonist of Wingman, kind of Sentai transforming hero style manga. He's a bit of a kind of pervy, ecchi protagonist, but he's also like the wingman. He's okay. I do like him a little bit. I think I'm going to put him there. Ranko Kotobuki is the protagonist of Shape Up Ran, which was a pretty big comedy manga in the 80s, but I really don't know much about her, sadly. Ikuro Hashizawa is the protagonist of Bao, Araki's second manga, and I think Ikuro gets a bit of a bad rep sometimes, and I will be talking about it more because I'm making a Bao video soon. But I think he's this quite like tragic character in some sense. He doesn't feel quite as like fleshed out though as a lot of other ones, and I think I'd like BT a bit more, so I'm gonna just put him below BT. You know what, I'm gonna put Kinnikuman above as well. The more I think about Kinnikuman, the funnier I think he is, so that's good. Jingi Kikukawa is the protagonist of the Saint Seiya, or why can I? Masumi Kurumada, there we go. Masumi Kurumada's third manga after well, okay, no, actually it's not his third manga because I'm forgetting one. Ignore some of the comments I made. This is his manga he did after Fuma no Kojiro, and it got cancelled after 3 volumes, but he actually went back to it, and I think it finished either this year or last year, 2023-2024. I sadly have not read it though, so I cannot say much about him. Madoka Ayukawa is more of the heroine of Kimagure Orange Road, though for some rom-coms I've decided to put the heroine instead of the main protagonist because a lot of them I feel are really samey. Not every one of them, but a lot of them are just kind of very bland teenage boys. So the heroines tend to be a bit more flavorful, I think, and they give us a bit more diversity in the characters we're looking at. Madoka, though, is... I don't like Madoka. I don't really like Kimagure Orange Road either, because the characters are kind of terrible, and not as in terribly written, maybe a bit, but they're just horrible characters. And Madoka... I really don't like her, like, after reading the end of Kimagure Orange Road, though she is kind of cool. She's this, like, cool girl archetype, and it's done quite well, so I'm gonna put her just there, above the Kimigumi. No idea who this guy... No. Goku is really lovable. I'm rereading Dragon Ball, and he's just a really nice little guy. And then as it goes on, I like his obsession with fights and stuff, and he has some interesting stuff, I guess, with his family. I know that's always a point of contention, but I do like Goku. I think I like him more than Avrele, so I'm going to put him in amazing. I think Goku is a really strong protagonist, and he's also one that's inspired like tons of characters, even if it's not instantly noticeable. Like, think of characters like Gon or Luffy. Goku is definitely in them to an extent. Momotaro Tsurugi is the protagonist of Otoko Ibihigaki Daishi. No, he's not. Momotaro Tsurugi is the protagonist of Sakigake Otokojuku, another Akira Miyashita manga. I haven't read it all. I think he is a bit bland compared to some of the other Akira Miyashita protagonists. Like, I don't think he's as cool as Masa. He's just a bit more shonen-y. I think I'm probably just going to put him below Kojiro. Nukusaku Aida is the protagonist of, or well, one of the main characters, or the poster character, I guess, of Suideni Tonchinkan, or Miracle Tonchinkan, which is a gag manga from the 80s. Don't know much about him. Ryo Saiba is the protagonist of City Hunter, and there's a lot of variations of him. I've seen some of the live action, I've read the manga. Ryo is really cool though. He is again, like Hitomi, very mature, more mature character, although he's more pervy and has more gags for sure. I think I actually need to experience more of him, so I'm gonna put him down in good, below Arele. Liu Bang is the protagonist of one of the Hiroshi Motomiya historical mangas that was big. I've forgotten what its name is, but he is based on a real historical Chinese figure. Based on some of the stuff I've read from Motomiya, which isn't his delinquent stuff, he probably isn't that great a character, but I should reserve some judgment. Pegasus Seiya from Saint Seiya is kind of bland. I'm not gonna lie. He just... I don't know what happened to Kurumada's writing overall. I find a lot of his stuff kind of samey after a while, and Saint Seiya isn't him at his most interesting for me, and Seiya is one of the reasons why he just does not captivate me at all. I think he's serviceable for the story, but otherwise he does not make me think of anything. Yamashita Taro is the protagonist of Yamashita Taro. Its name is way longer. This is a baseball manga. Yeah. And then we go on to Jonathan Joestar from JoJo. 1987. We've made some pretty good progress. Jonathan is a character people will probably put quite low, or just say mediocre, okay, whatever. I really like Jonathan. He's just simple. He's good. He's a nice boy. He cares about his family. He bounces off of Dio more. I definitely think Dio is the more interesting character, but I think together them as a pair is even better, and he is one half of the pair. So with that being said, I really like Jonathan actually, and maybe surprisingly, I'm going to put him in amazing. He's really cool. I'm going to put him above Goku as well. That might upset some people. Joseph though, so then you get like the subversion, or just the jump to part 2 of JoJo, and you have someone who's like the absolute opposite, someone who's a lot more morally grey, who's willing to cheat, who is more silly and goofy and plays games, and he's a fascinating character that only gets better as the parts go on. And even though I love Jonathan, like, I have to put Joseph above. Probably I'm gonna put him here. No, I'll put him above Kenjiro at least. I do like Joseph a lot. He's such a fun JoJo. Kenichi Kokuo is the protagonist of Burning Wildman, which I have not read, but it was a gag manga at the period. And similarly, Momotaro is another gag manga character, but this time it's a wrestling. This is more like Tarzan-esque wild person in the woods redoing society gag. This is more wrestling gag. I have not read either of them. Riki Kikoku is the protagonist of Godsider, which is this horror battle manga that actually popped up around when JoJo did, but it's a lot more kind of grimmer, and I would probably say it's closer to like Shin Megami Tensei or something in terms of overall vibe. Riki is a fairly simple character, but I think he's pretty fun. He just like beats demons up. That's pretty cool. I think he's okay. I'm gonna just put him at the top of okay. Dan Hayasaka is the protagonist of Kami-sama wa Southpaw, which I've covered all of these in my last history video, so they're pretty fresh. He is a boy who has the power of God in his, I think, left fist. Then we go on to Dark Schneider from Bastard, who I've only really recently experienced Dark Schneider, and I've got more Bastard to read, but he is such a fun character. He's such a bastard, and he's just a lot of fun to read about. He is quippy, he's really pathetic, but then he snaps sometimes and goes like full on mage mode and gets really angry. He's an entitled piece of shit, and he is just great. Definitely like a big draw to Bastard as a series. I'm actually going to put him here for now, but I think he has potential to like come up to my favorites. Maida Tyson. So I've read a bit of Roku Danashi Blues, and Maida is really cool. That said, I'm going to put him here because I've read Rookies, and we'll get to its protagonist later. But I really think he's going to grow, so I don't want to just put him in OK, because people are like, why is Maida in OK? I just haven't read enough. Ta-chan is from Ta-chan. Another gag manga. He is a Tarzan parody. He is also pretty fun. I do like Ta-chan quite a bit, actually. I would put him maybe here. He should love his wife more. Maybe he does in the sequel, which I haven't read. But yeah, he goes there. I never want to see his penis again. Read Ta-chan if you want context. Tarotaro, oh my god, this little guy, absolutely just angel. I guess these are really nice parallels of 1988. You have absolute like evil little shit and absolute like good, lovable pile of candy. Tarotaro is this sweetheart from Magical Tarotaro, which is this gag manga slice of life, bit of ecchi. He's this wizard who helps out the main character. He just be his friend basically, and he's really lovable. He loves to just like hug and kiss people, which is so nice. So he's going here for sure. Actually, I think I might put him above my Kichi. Ayamano is from Video Girl I, which I have not watched or read, I mean, but I will be reading soon because this is for the 1989 video. Dai, though, I do have experience with from Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai, and Dai is a top tier little guy, a bit like Tarotaro, but more shonen focused. I think Dai's adventure, from what I've seen, is really interesting, and his growth as a character is pretty cool. And I'm also just a sucker for shonen characters who just want to try their best, and he is one of them. So I think I'm going to put him there above Goku. Jotaro Kujo, really curious to see how my opinion of him changes because I'm going to reread part 3 soon. And Jotaro is a really interesting character. He appears again in part 4 and 6, and I think in part 6 a lot of stuff is added to him, which I think gives him more depth, like as a father and stuff. But generally he is just a cool character. He has a fun stand, first character with a stand, and I don't know, he is likable. I don't think he's as likable to me as Jonathan and Joseph, but he definitely belongs in this like amazing tier with all these guys. I will probably put him below. You know, we put him here. Jotaro might go up though after I finish rereading. Then we get Hanamichi Sakuragi, which I know a lot of people are going to want to put up really high. I have recently finished Slam Dunk, well, a few months ago, and I think Hanamichi is a really cool character, although I don't think I got quite as much out of him and Slam Dunk as others do. That being said, I think he's a good character. I would put him. I'd put him here. His journey is interesting, kind of humbles and grows a lot as a person. I'm not too fond, I guess, of his early gags and stuff, but he's endearing. Keiji Maeda is from Keiji, which is a series I have not read yet. It is the same artist, I believe, as Fist of the North Star, and it's more of a period piece. Taro Yamada is a gag manga character who I am horribly afraid of, I think, based on images I've seen. A lot of the covers of Taro, when I was a little bit younger, just kind of disgusted me, which is what that author does with his gag manga. So it'll be interesting to see my thoughts on him when I read it. Yusuke Urameshi, I have not finished Yu Yu Hakusho. I have watched quite a bunch and I've read quite a bunch. He's a really nice character. I really like Yusuke. He has a really big heart to him, especially early on in the manga, and I assume he just kind of grows a lot throughout. But even with me only reading a bit of it, I really like Yusuke. I'm gonna put him above Jonathan even. Do you know what? I'm gonna put him quite high. I'll put him below Joseph. I have high expectations though. He's gonna go up. Janmaru Takeda is from I forget the full name. It is a football manga called like something Liberio. He's a very interesting little guy actually. He's weirdly egg-shaped, which I like, but I don't know much about him. Misery Stalker. I cannot wait to go back to why can't I think of it? Why do I want to call it Tales from the Crypt? It's not Tales from the Crypt. Outer Zone. So Outer Zone, from what I've read, is just this episodic kind of horror manga actually, where each chapter something like weird will happen, something will be introduced, and there'll be some kind of comeuppance. It's really interesting, and Misery is the host, so kind of like a Tales from the Crypt Keeper type character. Introduces stuff, although I haven't read much of it, so things could change, but she has a top tier design and I just love the concept, and she's a cool creepy elf girl in Shonen Jump, which I think is rad, so we're gonna put it there. Yamada Taichi is from Pennant Race, I think the manga is called, which is another baseball manga, I think. Hallelujah Hibano is from Hallelujah or Hallelujah 2 Boy. I have no experience with him yet. Hentai Kamen is from Hentai Kamen, ecchi manga from the 90s, ecchi gag manga. Josuke Higashikata, another character I'm really interested in reevaluating. I might get some flack for this, but he's my least liked JoJo. I think he's cool. I like Josuke. I think part 4 really excels in its just overall cast. So Josuke feels less of a protagonist to me. That said, he is cool. I do like Josuke. I do like some of the characters more though. I'm probably, you know, I kind of like BT more than Josuke, so we're gonna put him here. Aoi Karen is from DNA Squared. She looks cool. I'm gonna put her here. I have not read it. Okay, Fusuke is from Ninku, the ninja manga pre-Naruto. Only a few chapters have been translated, but from what I've read, Fusuke is really cool little guy who I actually do feel comfortable ranking quite highly actually. I don't know why, but he's really fun and endearing. I'm gonna just put it here. Lucky Man is from Lucky Man, which is a gag manga from the 90s, although it looks like it's from the 70s. Nube from Hell Teacher Nube, have not read, have heard he's a bit of a weird character though in some regards. Kenshin is from Rurouni Kenshin. I've read a bit of Kenshin, but definitely not enough to make any opinions. Midori Makibao is from Midori Makibao. I think that's the manga's name as well. He's a little, I think he's a donkey or a mule. He's a mule for a horse racing manga in Jump, which is a real odd one. But he I don't know, he looks really cool. He looks fun, so I'm gonna put him here. Giorno Giovanna.
My name is Giovanni Giorgio, but everybody calls me Giorgio.
So I do like him more than Josuke, but Giorno is another character in another part where I feel like it's the ensemble, it's all the other characters, all of them together that really make just the part work. So he definitely isn't as cool as the first three to me. That being said, Giorno does have a bit more going for him, at least to me. He does have a kind of swag and a beauty, I guess, to him, which I do like. So I'm going to move him up a bit more. Majima Rei is from Majima. It was this kind of fighting manga that was fairly big in the 90s, I believe. Only one chapter of the manga has been translated. But he's a cool character. Again, though, I have not read enough to, I think, rank him. I do not know much about Masaru from Sexy Commando Guy, so I'm going to leave him there. Prince Baka is from Togashi's kind of middle manga between Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, Level E. He is an alien prince, and he's kind of annoying from memory. I remember not really liking him. Or Level E, to be honest. I just found Level E kind of bizarre. Shadow Lady, I have not read. I think you can read it though. Her design looks peak, so I'm going to put her here. Then we move to Atem, and do you know what? We'll do Yugi as well. So I've split these two characters up because I do believe they are separate characters and they are like partner characters. You could probably try to make an argument to do this with some other similar characters like Hikaru from Hikaru no Go, though I do believe Atem has a bigger role in Yu-Gi-Oh! Than Sai in Hikaru no Go, and these are two very different characters. Atem, who does most of the duels, has a lot of the Egypt stuff related to them. He's really cool, and at the beginning as well, he's a lot darker and more fucked up, which I do like. I'm such a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Atem is going to go up like really, really high. I think he's just going to go to the top of amazing. Yugi, though, I wasn't always the biggest fan of Yugi, but after reading the manga, and there are a few moments in Yu-Gi-Oh! Which I really like that have stood out to me. His journey through Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about just him making friends and enjoying with friends. And it's just so nice. One of my favorite moments, or my favorite moment in manga, is his scene with Joey in Battle City, where he tells Joey he loves him as a friend, but just his like declaration of that is so pure. And then as Yugi as a character, he is this really pure, kind boy who didn't want to be alone, and he uses games and stuff to connect to people, and I find that really relatable and just really lovely. So he's definitely one of my favorite characters. Jaden is not on this list because he's more of an anime character to me, and the manga isn't in Shonen Jump, but I do like Jaden more. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just overall insanely high cast. Moving on though to Takibao from Hoshinengi. I have not read Hoshinengi, though he looks cool. I do like the author's other works as well, from what I've seen, so I'm going to put him in there. He seems cool. Taketo Iwase is from Wild Hearth, which I'm really interested in reading. It's like this... I'm not really sure what it is. It might be a battle manga where the main character like combines with his dog, or maybe the dog fights with him. It seems really interesting. Yuri Yoshizuki is from Ys, which I've read a tiny bit of, but I don't feel comfortable really ranking. And then we have Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, like one of the only manga here that's still like actively ongoing, one of the only characters here who's still like really developing. Luffy is amazing. He's actually one of my favorites, so he's not an amazing. He's the type of character who's like really simple initially, but that simplicity, it leads to just mounds of complexity. Not that you even need that though, because Luffy is just this another really endearing character who you want to root for, who has like a really big heart. He does the right thing, and he's just fun. He's goofy. He definitely belongs here. It makes me smile when I see him, so he's definitely a favorite. Seijuro Goto is from a manga I've forgotten the name of, to be honest, but it had like 10 volumes, so I put him here. Takeshi is from Sekimatsu Leader Den Takeshi, which I've read a tiny bit of, but I'm not going to rank because I don't have enough experience. Likewise, Tenten is from another manga, gag manga, I think. So I'm not going to rank him because I haven't read it. Gawain Nanaumi, though, I am going to rank. Not that I've actually read any Rising Impact, but I have watched the new anime, and I love Gawain. Gawain is this like really nice little guy like Tarotaro who just wants to hit the ball the farthest, which he thinks he's going to do through baseball, but then he's shown golf, and he becomes this golf prodigy. But Gawain is just optimistic, he's lovely. I have no idea how the author of the Seven Deadly Sins kind of did Gawain, and then years later would move on to do like Meliodas, who is horrible and is borderline pedo character.
Keep your hands off my woman, understand me?
When Gawain is this little sweetheart who tries his best, and I find him really relatable. I really, really like Gawain, so he's gonna go in my favorites. Then we have another like amazing little guy. We have Gon, who I'm also gonna put in a favorite because I think most of Hunter x Hunter's cast would probably be here. But Gon is another kind of Goku-esque character, another like fun little guy who has a bit more to him. He has like a bit more bite in his darker sides. Whether it's like from exposure to like all the fucked up shit in Hunter x Hunter that Gon snaps at points, or if it's because there is genuinely something like deep inside him. I don't know, it makes him really intriguing as a character, and he works really well with other characters in the series. His goal overall of meeting his dad as well is really cool, and yeah, he deserves to be up here. And a recent addition to this list, Kurapika. So yeah, I'm gonna add Kurapika also to my favorites. I think he's now the protagonist of Hunter x Hunter. We've had Gon's time after the end when he meets his dad. I think Hunter x Hunter like actually ends for me. That is the ending of the series. Our main goal's complete. Here is the bonus Kurapika storyline, which is really, really good. Hunter x Hunter also came back yesterday from recording this, and it's just so good, and I love Kurapika and what he's involved in, and the depth of his character, the things, the lengths he's going to do what he's doing. It's so tragic. Like, he's sacrificing everything to get all of these eyes, and he's always caught between these two worlds in Hunter x Hunter, of this horrible like revenge and then this like light side where he could be spending time with his loved ones and friends. Yeah, that tragedy of him, and just him in general, I think he's cool. I think he's a kind of more femme like character as well, which I like, kind of more feminine male appearance wise, and his chains are cool. Him wearing a suit is super cool. Probably one of the only characters here I'd be willing to like cosplay. He's going up really high. Do you know what? He might be my favorite out of this group here. Oh, and then we have another like top tier contender, Koichi Kawato from Rookies. So Kawato Sensei is the teacher from Rookies, and he basically guides the main team of rookies, these delinquents. He molds them not only into a competent baseball team, but into better human beings. he is just this embodiment of like light and love in the world, and some of his just dialogue, some of his speeches, and the things he does are so compelling. He's just so kind and like is a character you want to look up to, minus I guess beating his students. That's a very like delinquenty manga thing though. But he's such a good character. The beating heart of rookies. Absolutely love him. I think I'm gonna put him actually below Kurapika. Phenomenal character. Sho Kazumatsuri is the protagonist of Whistle, which is a manga I actually don't really know anything about. It's a football manga from the 90s, which did have a translation, I think by Viz. Although it's really hard to find physical copies of it. I hope this is added to the Shonen Jump vault, honestly, so I can read it officially. Yo Asakura is the protagonist of Shaman King. This might come to a surprise. Shaman King is one of the only big like shonen battle manga I have just not read, so I don't have any opinions. Okay, moving on, we have another Axe manga, might be a weirder one, Gamma Akutabi, which is the protagonist of Zombie Powder, Tite Kubo's first work. Gamma is just kind of cool, has a chainsaw, sword. He has this dark past which you never actually get to hear about, but he's just overall like cool. I do like him to an extent, so I'm gonna put him in good. He's cool. Hikaru Shindo is the protagonist of Hikaru no Go, and I really like Hikaru. Hikaru no Go is a great manga, but Hikaru's journey of being this like really spoiled kid and then basically having to contend at one point with this like massive level of grief and seeing how that shapes him, as well as the game of Go and him really getting into something he loves, is really interesting. He really blooms as a person and character, which was not something I expected going in, which makes for like a really good protagonist. He's really solid. Do you know what? I love you, Tello Tello. I think you need to go down. I don't know why. I really like him. I really like little guys, but I need to read more. Hikaru though, I'm sorry for stealing your spotlight. I think I'm gonna put him over Tem in amazing. Naruto. Okay, Naruto's a bit of a polarizing one for me. I do really like Naruto. Him at the beginning, I find immensely just relatable. Especially when I was younger, I really liked Naruto. I don't know if I looked up to Naruto, but like the feeling of I guess empathy, like of feeling the same, of feeling lonely. I really like empathize with him there. And then seeing him like become a better person, seeing him find like all these friends is really lovely. Him in Boruto is really interesting and feels kind of weird. And I also feel a bit conflicted about Naruto's end and Shippuden overall, but I do like Naruto. I think he is a character I still think is good. I am probably gonna, do you know what, I'll put him there just behind Goku. Ryoma Echizen is from Prince of Tennis, which I have not read, so we'll be putting him there. Beelzebub is the protagonist of Sandland, or one of the three. He's just a cool little demon boy. Actually like him quite a bit, thinking about it. Probably not as much as a Rayleigh, but he is a solid just little guy who's quite fun. So I think I'm gonna put him here. Jaguar Junichi is from I've forgotten the name. Pew something Jaguar. It's a comedy series, gag series in Jump that was like at the back of the magazine for a really long time. I will read it eventually. Jolene Kujo is another JoJo protagonist. and a really good character overall, I think. She is a lot of fun. First female JoJo, well, only female JoJo. I wish there was more. And having a female protagonist in Jump, I think is always cool. She's a lot more rowdy. She has a cool stand. I like her overall story, the way she meets people, her trying to be free from the prison. Green Dolphin is just great. Really inspiring, just character. Who I like a lot. I'm excited to reread part 6 eventually, because it has been a while. I think here is good though. I think I'm gonna put it here. Kasuga Romeo is from Bremen, which is a music manga from the 2000s in Jump. Sadly, have not read it, so I can't really say anything there. Train Heartnet is another one I can't say much of, who is a protagonist of Black Cat. Amakuni Saruno is the protagonist of Mr. Full Swing, another baseball manga which I have not read. Bobobo, I have read some Bobobo. I don't find Bobobo very funny. I don't like Bobobo very much, actually. He's just kind of odd and unfunny to me, so I'm sorry I'm gonna put him here. Maybe my opinion will change as I read more. Ishigo Kurosaki, protagonist of Bleach, is a really polarizing character again, maybe for me, who I just don't really fully get the appeal of. I have talked to friends though, and they've enlightened me a bit, although a lot of the time their explanation is just he has a cool factor to him. He's just kind of a cool teenage character. He fights well, protects his friends, but is a bit more cool and collected, and I guess less shouty, and not a like little guy figure like a Dai or Gon or whatever. I do think that carries you to an extent, but I don't just feel much depth from Ichigo, except maybe the Fullbringer arc, where I do think he gets much needed bit of character added to him. I do like Gamma quite a bit. I'm gonna put him above Gamma though. I think he's good. To be honest, if you ask me, I'd say he's okay, but he's a solid enough character. I'm gonna put him below Josuke. Jinpei Manika is from Ichigo 100%. This is the main boy. Senna is from Aishou 21. Ooh, do you know what? I think I'm gonna enjoy Senna whenever I get to him, so I'm gonna put him there. Kazuki Muto is from Buso Renkin, which I also haven't read. Alan Walker is from D. Greyman, which I've read a significant amount of. And I will say Alan is one of my favorite parts. He's a another pretty like boy character, so he gets marks for that. Some of his designs as well are just really cool, and he is a bit of a tortured individual, at least from what I've read, but still kind of remains happy. D. Greyman, from my reading of it, was a little all over the place. I don't think I read it at the right time, so it's something I'm excited to go back to. But I do like Alan. I think Alan's cool. I'm gonna put Alan. I'm gonna put him there with Ichigo. Gintoki. I have read some Gintama manga. I do own a few volumes, but the anime is really where I've gotten most of my Gintoki fix. And Gintoki is really cool. I do love him a lot. He's such a funny fucking guy, and he also has like the heart and the willingness to stand up when the time is right, but always balances that with a healthy dose of comedy. That being said, I'm gonna put him quite high, I think. I'm gonna put him there. I do feel like I need to watch more Gintama or read some. And then we get to Stone Ocean characters. Stone Ocean? Steel Ball Run characters. And we have Gyro and Johnny, because I definitely feel like they're protagonists of Part 7. I do feel like Gyro plays as much of a role as Johnny for the most part. Gyro is also like on all of the Jump covers when it was in Shonen Jump, which is maybe something I should clarify. Part 7 is a Shonen Jump manga because it started in Shonen Jump. That's why it's here. And it also gives me an excuse to put 2 absolutely brilliant characters really high on this list. I really struggle to rank them though, because to me Johnny and Gyro are a duo and they excel when they're together. They have great designs as well, and they have, I guess, both have a bit of a tortured past, and both try to like outrun that, both try to become more than that. Their dynamic is fun. I love Gyro's steel balls. I like that Johnny is a paraplegic. I think that's really interesting. Part 7, definitely want to reread because that's going to be really interesting. I think... I'm not sure they're my favorite characters ever. I think some days they are. But I'm gonna leave them at the top here. I'm gonna put Johnny above Gyro because he does have a little bit more, I think, depth. But they're going there. Light Yagami, what a guy, what a character. So Light's debatably, well, he is the protagonist of the story. He's the one we follow. He's the one who moves things forward. His morality, though, is very different to a lot of these others. He is more of a villain at the end of the day. And I thought about putting L on this list, but I don't think L is the protagonist in any way. He's just a really, really good foil character or antagonist. I do like though, he has his, like, moments. He is this goofy incel character, but he has fun. He is, like, kind of weirdly charming. His ending as well is so pathetic, and he can be pathetic sometimes, which I really like. I'm gonna put him, I think, here in amazing. Shio is from Whack Whack, which is a fun little axe manga. I think part of me just wanted to include him because he's very colorful. Shio is another one of these little fun guy characters like Gon, even looks a bit like Gon. Though there isn't much to him, honestly. So I think I'm just gonna put him at the top of okay. And then we have Ryo and Moji. Muyo and Roji. God, I butchered that. Who are the protagonists of the Bureau of Spiritual Investigation, Muyo and Roji? So their names are in the title. Originally, I just had Muyo on this list, but I added Roji because he's in the title of the manga. I feel like Muyo is definitely the more standout of the characters. He's a little more, I guess, negative, pessimistic. Brushes Roji off a lot, and also just has a cool design. I'm gonna put him, I think we're gonna put him, he is good. I'm gonna put him below Aurelie. Roji, though, maybe I need to reread it, but he's a nice boy. He's a nice character. He has some fun stuff with Roji about their friendship and their dynamic, because he's always kind of on the back foot. He's not as strong as Muyo, he's his apprentice, but I do like his want to be friends. He just was never as interesting. I'm gonna put him here, I think. Ikara's a bit more interesting, but I think he has a lot more than, I guess, Gamma, at least. Suna from Hitman Reborn. I may be known as a bit of a Hitman Reborn denier, but I do like Suna. I think Suna is one of the best parts about Reborn. I think he's just this boy who's been thrust into this world where a lot is expected of him, and he just kind of wants to be a normal boy, but then he just snaps and just becomes really cool with his transformations and everything, but he wants to do the right thing. He's a strong shonen protagonist, I think, but not one I would say is like the greatest of all time or anything. I would probably put him just below Ishigo. Homura Takaya is the protagonist of Takaya, which is the first ever Gold Future Cup winner. It was, I guess, a series they expected to do well, and it is very notorious for not doing well. And in its like final time, I guess, what it did was it tried to restart itself by going from a kind of gag martial arts comedy-ish manga to an isekai, and that only lasted like a volume and then it was cancelled. It's very notorious for just having this gag ending that has been parodied to death. It's not something you can read in English, though I wish it was, because it is a big part of like modern Jump history. So I'm gonna leave him there. Momote Taizo is from Taizo, I forget the name, Momo King Saga. It's a gag manga. It had a lot of JoJo references. Myojin, I don't know. He's from a decently popular mid-2000s manga, or maybe not decently popular, but it did decent, so I added him onto this list. I'll read it at some point. Neuro is from Neuro. I have read a tiny bit of it, and Neuro is interesting. He's a creepy guy, and I do like detectives, so the capacity for him to go up high is fairly strong. I just have not read enough. Lala Setalin Devil Duke is the main heroine of To Love Ru. I think. I have not read To Love Ru, but I am interested to and will do at some point. Taiga Kuzum, I think it's meant to be Kuzuma, or Kuzumi, is the protagonist of MXO, which I also have not read. Udogawa Gosuke is another character I have not read from, which is this little samurai manga from 2007 that had quite a few volumes. Yusuke Fujisaki is one of the main characters of Sket Dance, but I have not read Sket Dance, so I'm gonna leave it there. Ral is from Ralgrad, which maybe the reason I included Shio and Ral, even though they're from like 2000s ice manga, is because they got physical releases in the West for whatever reason. Ral though is from Blue Dragon, which I made a full video on Ralgrad, as well as Whack Whack actually. But I think another thing in Ral's favor is Blue Dragon also had a game, so it's slightly more popular or just kind of interesting, and it is an Obata illustrated manga. I hope I'm not getting Oba and Obata mixed up. But yeah, Blue Dragon and Ralingrad, or just Ral. Ral is like this kid who's been confined within this orb for like so long that he has no clue about how human society works, and he's thrust into this world full of like these evil shadows, and he has to fight them. Ralgrad's also really ecchi heavy, and Ral is a bit of a horn dog, although part of the reason he is kind of tied into Freudian psychology, at least in my reading of it, and that makes him really interesting. And I don't know, his psychological journey through Ralgrad just really appeals to me, and he's a fun little character, although I can see some people seeing him as like a sex pest and putting him a lot lower. I really like Ral though, so I'm gonna put him in amazing. Ageha Yoshina is the protagonist of Siren, and I think Ageha's just okay, to be honest. I did read Siren quite a long time ago, but he's just kind of there. He's a less cool Ishigo, maybe, something like that. Chogecha, very notorious Jump manga that only lasted 8 chapters and was absolutely trash. It is from the author of Bobobo, and it is I don't know, horrible. The manga's horrible, the character is just nonsensical and weird. Inumaru is the spawn of Satan. I hate this child, and I don't want to see his penis ever again. Moritaka Mashiro is I guess the protagonist of Bakuman alongside his partner, although I feel like Mashiro has a lot more focus on him. That being said, I don't think the protagonists are a very strong part of Bakuman. They're okay, they're great at delivering what we need to know exposition-wise. His just focus on doing it for this girl is also really weird. I don't know. I actually don't think he's a very good character. That might change when I reread Bakuman. But for a manga I love so much, I really do not care very much about its protagonist / ists. Ruku Nura is from Nura Rise of the Yokai Clan, which I have not read, but it seems cool though. Toriko, again, another huge Jump manga I have just not read or experienced. Itsuhito Hades is from the Shinigami Infirmary, which is another manga I have not read, although I'm pretty interested too. This is Sho Amano, I think is the author, who went on to do... I can't think of it. She did Muddy, and then she moved on to do a fairly popular manga, I think in Jump Square or something. Medaka Kurakami is from Medaka Box, which I have not finished, but I have read quite a bit of, and Medaka is really cool. Just fun, kind of bossy, full of herself character. I like her a lot, and I think I will hopefully like her more when I read more of Medaka. Tatsumi Oga is from Beelzebub, which I have not read sadly, besides a few chapters, and from what I've read, he's fun. I guess I have decently high hopes. I do like Ryuhei Tamura a decent amount, so we'll see how high he ranks in the future, I guess. Kuroko is another thing I've read a few chapters of. Kuroko seemed fine, but I'm just not going to rank him. Kyo Manabizaki is the protagonist of SWAT, which SWAT is mainly here and Kyo is mainly here because I guess it's more of an in-joke with my channel / server. SWAT is one of the worst Jump manga ever, and Kyo is just absolutely insufferable and annoying, so he needs to go in horrible. Sumio Haiba is the protagonist of Enigma, which is a Shonen Jump death game manga. That said, as much as Enigma is interesting, although it's messy, Sumio is probably one of his detractors for me. He's not very interesting, and I think his one gag / trait is wanting to ask girls out or something, which I found a bit off-putting, so I'm gonna just put him in bad. Jitoge Kurosaki is the heroine from Nisekoi. I think she's a lot cooler than, I think Raku is the main boy, and she's very identifiable. You know who Jitoge is, probably. Unless you got into anime in the last few years, you should know who Chitoge is. And Chitoge is fun. She's a more abrasive female kind of lead character. Definitely more of my type than the other main character, main female character in Nisekoi. She's fun. I have not read all of Nisekoi though, so I'm gonna put her behind these guys. Yeah, there we go. Shion Elpheus Levi is the main character, or one of the main characters maybe, of Magico, which I have not read sadly. Hinata Shoyo is from Haikyuu, and Hinata is brilliant. I really love him. He's a lot of fun. His just desire to improve and get better is infectious. He has an absolutely amazing design, and he's just a fun little guy. Do you know what? I kind of dumped him here, but I think this is the perfect spot, to be honest, for him. Haikyuu, though, is a manga I haven't finished, so Hinata stocks could go up even more. And then we have Koro Sensei and Nagisa from Assassination Classroom. I think they both, I guess, deserve to be here. I'd probably call both of them kind of the protagonist. Maybe you disagree. Koro Sensei is pretty interesting. I do like my teacher figures in anime quite a bit. Kawatu's definitely the better one. But I do like Koro. I think I'm going to put him top of there. And then Nagisa is also a really fun character. Another feminine male character which I like. Just a quieter character in a cast full of very abrasive ones, and the moments where he does kind of snap are really cool, and then his kind of ending is also quite a bit of fun. So I might... I know, I don't think he quite gets to amazing, but these two are really good. Saiki Kuso is from Saiki K, which I have not read, so I will not rank. Soma Yukihara. Soma is in a manga I finished, but I have read like 35 chapters, and I do like Soma. I think he's pretty fun. So we're gonna put him... I think... Do you know what? I really like him, his passion for cooking. So we're gonna put him... I think just below Hanamichi here. Isobe. I've read like a few chapters. I don't feel like I can rank him. He's also a really gag-based character. Then we have Osamu and Yuma from World Trigger. Osamu's definitely a bit more the main character, although Yuma's more the poster boy. So both of them are here. Osamu is really cool because he feels like he'd feel like the secondary character or a side character in a different manga. He isn't very strong. He does not have like the innate talent or skills like other shonen protagonists, so he uses his wits, and World Trigger as a whole is a lot more team-based in how it plays out. It's more strategic, and he uses that to his advantage. He's a really interesting character. He's a really cool character who I like quite a bit. I'm actually going to put him quite high, I think. Do you know what? I put him below Light. I feel like they're pretty comparable. Yuma, though, is kind of more fun. I love his design. He's a bit of an oddball character. He's a bit of a little guy, kind of like die, like gone, etc. But he's also an alien, so he has the whole thing going on where he doesn't quite understand human customs, which makes him even more endearing. So I'm gonna move him up a bit more. Hinomaru Ushio is from Hinomaru Zumo, which I've read a little bit of, but I am not comfortable enough to rank him. Izuku Midoriya, or Deku, the protagonist of My Hero Academia, is sadly one of the things about My Hero Academia I just don't vibe with. I find him quite whiny. I like the overall idea at the beginning of My Hero of passing on like a legacy and him wanting to be a hero but not having a power, but I don't know. Deku just rubs me the wrong way. I really just don't like him. Yeah. Asta, you'd frequently used to see these two together, Deku and Asta. Black Clover and My Hero are kind of rival manga, I guess, to an extent. But I like Asta a lot more. He's just a really fun, loud shonen character who never gives up. He tries his best, and sometimes that's all I want. He just kind of makes me happy. I don't think I'm going to put him in amazing because I don't think he has any absolutely like great depth or anything, but he's a fun character, so he's at the top of good. Masaharu Tsuchiya is, I would say, one of the protagonists of Straight Up High School Dancing. It has a really long name. I'd say I think he's the focal point at the beginning, at least, and he's a nice guy. He decides to pick up dancing as a school kind of club activity and gradually gets better at it. Not really too much to say about him, but he's nice. I'm gonna put him there. more people should read Straighten Up. It is a fun little Shonen Jump manga. Shosuke Samon, I have read some Samon, have not read all of it. Like Chojo later on the list, they're both very similar characters, although I think Samon has a lot more evilness to him. He's clearly the, I guess, worse character on a morality perspective out of the two, but that makes him quite endearing and engaging to watch. He's just kind of a little evil guy, so I'm gonna put him there. Boruto Uzumaki. Boruto did start out as a Shonen Jump manga. Boruto's interesting. A lot of that though is due to Naruto and kind of Naruto's upbringing and his character, and then Boruto, like, he has a nice life at the beginning of Boruto, but he is ignored by his dad, which I find like really interesting and an odd kind of thing, because you'd think for like a shonen manga maybe the main character would kind of learn and be empathetic towards his son and realize, like, yeah, as a kid I was also really depressed and lonely. Maybe I should spend more time with my son, but he's busy with his job and looking after the village. Which makes, I think, Boruto quite sympathetic to some regard. He is a bit of a little shit now and again. Some of the stuff in the manga is cool, and some of it isn't. I don't think he's a horrible character or anything. I think he's okay. I'm gonna put him here, I think. Maybe below Haida. Emma from Promised Neverland is a character I really like, and then kind of gets character assassinated at the end. Promised Neverland's a really tricky series where it's so interesting at the beginning and there's so much promise, and I do like Emma's ideals, but they just didn't feel like they worked for the story, at least initially. She's a bit too saccharine. I don't know, I like her, but she's kind of botched, sadly for me. I think I'm gonna put her just at the top of okay, because I really struggle thinking she's like a good character. Tanjiro Kamado, the main character of Demon Slayer, is another just nice, I guess, little guy. I don't really have too much to say about him though, and I would also hesitate to put him in good. I think he's just okay, but he's a fairly strong okay. Yuna Hana is from Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs, which I have read a bunch of, I guess. She's fine. She's just okay. She's a big booby ghost. I didn't get much out of her. Eiji Kudo is from a manga called U19. And if you don't know what U19 is or why Eiji is here, I guess I'll tell you briefly. In modern Shonen Jump, there's something called the U19 Club, which is any manga that gets under 19 chapters. And it's a bit of a mark of shame on the series that it wasn't good enough to last longer than 19 chapters. And U19, which stands for under 19, is a manga that also got under 19 chapters and is remarkably cringe and bad, and I'll be covering it soon on an X-File. Eiji is not a good character. He's kind of bad, actually, but he's not absolutely horrible. I guess there's some endearingness to his cringe, so I'm gonna put him there. Naruyuki Yugia is the protagonist of We Never Learn, and he's like the character who deserves the harem, or at least he deserves the attention and love of those around him, because he in turn gives all the girls in We Never Learn a lot of attention and love. He helps them out a lot. He's just a nice person. He listens to them. He's helpful. Yeah, and it's really refreshing to have like a kind of ecchi harem protagonist who's just a nice, hardworking character. So I'm gonna put him, I think, in good. maybe below Rio. And Roboto Hatohara is the protagonist of Robot X Laser Beam, the golf manga that went on for around 7 volumes in 2017. He is this like kind of mute, robotic character, hence his name. Honestly, he just doesn't, I don't know, doesn't do much. He's very plain by design, which doesn't really lead to much. Senku Ishigami, though, is anything but plain. Absolutely loud, bombastic character. Love Senku 2 bits. He has this just innate love for science, but also humanity overall, which really comes across in Dr. Stone and its overall theming. I adore Senku. I think he's an excellent protagonist, to the point where I'm going to put him at the top of amazing. Possibly he could move into my favorites. David is a bit of an odd pick, a bit of a kind of indulgent pick on my behalf. He is the protagonist of Teenage Renaissance David-kun, which is a gag manga that sees the statue of David have his high school life, where he has a crush on the Venus de Milo painting, I think, Birth of Venus painting. Ugh, my art history. There's a whole bunch of other quirky art-based characters, but David is the protagonist, and I just love how they took the statue of David and made it into this really relatable, funny high school boy. Just absolutely great concept, and it's executed quite well. I'm gonna put him below Hanamichi, I think. Nini Spankle, or Spangle, I think it used to be before it was changed for whatever localized reason. She, along with Noelle, are the 2 main characters of Burn the Witch. I don't think Balgo counts. Although I feel like Nini has more to do. She's more involved in the story. So that's why she's here. She's another more, I guess, abrasive gal. I find her quite fun. I find her relationship with the antagonist of the Burn the Witch we got quite good as well. So I'm going to put her in good, but maybe a bit lower down. Probably like that. Unagi K, the protagonist of Act Age. Act Age is an interesting manga. I won't go into its drama and history. It's a manga full of like quite captivating characters, and Unagi is interesting, but I often found she was the least interesting part of it to me. Maybe I need to read Act Age again, although that's kind of an ordeal. But I just don't really feel much for Unagi. And maybe fittingly, I'm gonna put her with a kind of siblings of these manga that got all popular at once, just in okay. Yuji Itadori is another character that actually might fit in here, because I like Yuji, he's fine, but he definitely isn't as like appealing as some people make him out to be. He's just kind of a nice... He's a bit of a mix between a character like Ishigo and a character like Gon, or someone like that for me. He's a bit nicer, he's a bit chirpier, but he has a bit of a coolness going on for him, although not much. Thematically, I don't really feel like JJK was too cohesive, and I don't get much out of Yuji, so I think he's just serviceable, he's just okay overall. I'd probably like put him with these, which again I think is fitting. They all kind of came out together. The Gravity Boys. So originally I just put Chris on this list because Chris is cute, but they are a group of characters, possibly like the Kimigumi, who are the main characters of their story. Their bond, their friendship is a big part of it, and they're just so much fun together. It is just a chill group of friends, and you get to see all their interactions and stuff. Possibly cheating, putting them on a list of individual characters, but they're good. I like them a lot. So I'm gonna put them think I'm going to put them just below light. And then we get Denji, who is a fascinating character. One I think I liked a bit more pre-part 2. I won't really go into my reasons right now about that, but Denji is still this really phenomenal character. He is a tragic one. There's a lot of depth to him. I think I have a lot I can relate to him as well. I don't know, he's interesting, especially I think to a younger audience. There was like a lot of interviews and stuff at one point where I think people talked about how Chainsaw Man and Denji kind of exemplify modern youth and how a lot of them don't really want much, or they don't strive for much. They kind of just want somewhere to live and they want to eat some nice food now and again. And that is just like infinitely relatable as well as really tragic. And Denji definitely embodies all of that in a quirky, weird body, whatever he is. I like him though. He is a good character. Where am I going to put him? I think I'm going to put him below these two JoJo boys for now. At one point he was definitely my favorites, but he's here. Maybe he'll go up depending on what happens in part 2. Hachimaru is from Samurai 8, which is another stinker of a manga, and I think he's kind of horrible as a protagonist and character overall. I really don't like him. He is this disabled character who gets his disability cured really quickly. He's just kind of mouthy and annoying. He feels kind of entitled. I just do not like him, and I do not like Samurai 8. Taiyo Yozakura. Right. This is a character who I think for quite a long time I'd say he's just fine. He's serviceable. But as Yozakura's gone on, and as we've seen more and more, you just get to see how much of a family man Taiyo is, how much he loves his family, and he has this quiet coolness which we've seen in more recent chapters, which skyrocket him for me. He is such a cool character. He's such a really lovable character as well, who, I don't know, he would just do so much for the people he loves, and that's really admirable. And he's just kind of goofy, kind of like a normal person in a group of misfits as well at times. And his relationship with Mutsumi is really, really nice. It just, I don't know, I really like them bouncing off of each other, and he plays a really good straight man. So I'm going to put him actually quite high. I'm going to put him below Jonathan. I'm actually surprised about how much I like Taiyo. Then we have the Undead Unluck duo of Andy and Fuko, who we're just going to skip to putting them in Amazing right now. These two characters are great. Their journey together has been great, and then their changes as well have been just really phenomenal. Andy is definitely the one I like the least out of the two. That said, I really, really like Andy. I think he's such a fun character. I love his catchphrase. I love all of his moves and stuff. I'm just going to put him, I think maybe just below Kenshiro. Really cool. I hope we get to see a bit more from him as Undead Unluck kind of ends. Fuko, though, has had so much development. She has gone from the character we see in the beginning, who is quite meek, who doesn't really know how to fight, who isn't really a leader, someone who was about to end her own life, to this insane, cool badass who I love so much, and so does everyone else. She's a very, very cool character. I think she's going to be remembered as one of the best Shonen Jump protagonists for a really, really long time. And it's just cool to see just a strong female character who's just genuinely well written for who they are. And yeah, love everything that's happening in Undead Unluck with her. Gomez isn't really the protagonist of High School Family, and it's more of a meme fic, if I'm being honest, but everybody who's read High School Family loves Gomez. He's such a swell little guy, and I guess he is the protagonist of his own arcs, because that's kind of how High School Family operates. Each member of the family has their own little storylines. I could have put Ishiro or the main boy on here, but I think Gomez is more iconic as a Shonen Jump kind of cultural icon in the community. He's a fun little guy. He's good. I'm gonna put him, I think, here. Iori Katsunagi is another last minute addition to get this up to 200 characters, and he is the main character of Phantom Seer, which is, I think, the axed manga the West loves the most, and just bemoans Roboco for cucking it and axing it. Iori is cool. He's collected. I like him overall. I don't think he's groundbreaking or anything. I'm probably gonna, do you know what? I think Shio needs to move up a bit. I'm probably gonna put him here. And next up we have Magu from Magu-chan, or Magmenwek, who's the god of destruction. Magu's a cute little character. I don't think he really breaks my tier system or anything. Maybe I should have put the main girl here instead, because she's a bit sweet, and she's definitely the main character alongside Magu, although Magu is the namesake of the manga. He's quite endearing. I think I'm gonna put him below Tanjiro. Mashal from Mashal Magic and Muscles. Mash is a really gimmicky character, honestly, who I don't really like. I think his jokes are funny for a few chapters, and then they just aren't at all. So we're gonna move him into the bad tier. Sorry, Mashal fans. And then we get to Matsuru Kazumaki, who, when I see people make lists, he is quite low down. I really like Matsuri. Ayakashi Triangle, I think, is really underrated as well. I thankfully, like, not too recently, a few months ago, I finished it. I read the last few volumes, because I kind of stopped around chapter 100, so I had a few volumes left. And Matsuri is just such a cool character, such an interesting exploration of the gender bender character, and the author really explored the idea, which I wanted to happen, where she has to contemplate like her own gender, and by the end she kind of feels used to being a girl, but she likes being both. And I don't know, I just really like her journey of being more comfortable in like another body, and her having like initial dysphoria, but then warming up to it as well. Just a really cool character who I struggle to get across like why I like her, or him, like, but it's so odd, them. They're also just a cool ninja who like uses wind magic, so there you go. That's why Matsuri is really high. Then we got Roboco, another girl boss of Jump. I do like Roboco quite a bit. She's funny. Not every chapter of Roboco is funny, but she is this really blunt force who is kind of a bitch a lot of the time, but it's really lovable. I think that could be said for a lot of gag manga protagonists. They're extremely flawed, and Roboco is no exception. It just makes them really just endearing. Just how horrible she is sometimes to Bondo. And Bondo is another character I could have maybe added to this list, because he's the other protagonist in me and Roboco, but like Roboco is definitely the main attraction, so that's why she's here. Taro Sakamoto from Sakamoto Days. I think Sakamoto is cool. He's a fun character. I do not think he's like grown at all, though. I'm not going to put him in I'm not going to put him in bad. I kind of want to put him in mediocre, to be honest, but he is kind of cool. I'm going to put him here, I think. Definitely just, I don't know. Not much has happened with Sakamoto. He feels like the same character. He's a little bit boring to me overall. Other than the fact like he loves his family and friends, like I don't see much appeal to him. Like he's cool at fighting, I guess, but whatever. Chinatsu from Blue Box. I could have put Taiki here, and I do like, or Taichi. God, I forget if it's Taiki or Taichi. They've grown on me over time. They were a bit bland at one point, but I do think they're good. I've decided to just put the heroine of the manga here though instead. I do like her. She feels very real and she's really nice. She's just a nice, kind of kind, lovely character. So I'm gonna put her below Chitoge. And then we have Lucky from P6, who is another nice boy character, but he gets a bit more complex. He does feel like unfinished though, just like P6 overall. But he's a really interesting character who has grown on me over time, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna put him here, just below Nini and above Gomez. Nico Wakatsuki. Nico is a really fun character. I feel like I could have also put Moi here, but Nico definitely has a lot of the focus of Witch Watch, and she is the witch they are watching. Nico is really lovely. She's very bubbly. I like all of her spells. She does not break my world at all, but she is a really fun character. And I'm looking forward to her like growing up from the arc we're currently in and just kind of getting better as a character. Tokiyuki Hojo. I am not a big fan of the Elusive Samurai, but Tokiyuki is one of the parts I don't mind. He's a fun little speedy guy. I will probably put him maybe here below Reiki. Akane Osaki from Akane Banashi. Another Jump girl boss. Akane has just grown and grown as a Rakugo performer and as a person. I really like that she has a bit of sass to her. She has a bit of snark. She is fun. She definitely has more room to grow though. And isn't a character like I think of at all if I think of like my favorites. Although I love Akane Banashi and she definitely deserves to be quite high. I'm thinking... You know what? I think I might just put it below Tayo for right now. Iroha Zaka from Cypher Academy. This one could be a bit of a surprise, but I really, really love Iroha. He is the beating kind of heart of Cypher Academy. He is another feminine kind of male character, which I really appreciate and like. Has this level of trust and kindness, which I always love in a character, and feels like a big underdog, but is surprisingly like competent. Also has like a really sad, tragic backstory, which I guess adds to the fact of how like kind he is. And some of the things he says, especially at the end of Cypher Academy, just like stick with me to this day. Just a really like lovely, kind character who belongs with these. I actually think Iroha would move up a bit more. Ruri Aoki from Ruri Dragon. Ruri's a really fun character actually. As are most characters in Ruri Dragon, there's a bit of a very mundaneness to Ruri, which I really like. The way characters speak and act with each other, even though there's a fantasy portion with all the dragon stuff going on, it's that mundaneness that contrasts with it that I just find really engaging. And I don't know, it's fun to just see her be a normal like high school girl who's not super like cheery or anything. She just kind of is bothered by stuff that would normally bother someone, and is relatable because of that. Her just struggles as a normal schoolgirl, or abnormal schoolgirl, I guess, with the dragon horns. I don't know. It's all relatable. She's a really cool character. I think I'll put her below Naruyuki. And then Tsubasa Ichinose from the Ichinose family. He is fine, I think. Ichinose is a weird series. I wouldn't say it's an act series. I think it did like okay. So that's why he's here. Although, if I had to like cut like maybe 20 characters, 10 characters, he might be one of them. He's just kind of fine. I don't really know what to say. I maybe even put him at the top of mediocre there. Chihiro Rokuhira. Part of me so badly wants to put him in favorite. He's a character like you see the image and you think back to the memes and stuff, and like the first few chapters. Like I wake up. I can't remember the meme. I wake up with fresh hatred in the morning, whatever. Chihiro is a really lovely like character though. He deeply like cares about people. He's in constant conflict with what he's doing, with the nature of his like dad's swords. Some of the more recent chapters have just really pushed those ideas as well, and you can clearly see in his expressions how tortured he is. There's some panels like when he confronts his dad's killer where he shouts at him like, "Why did you kill my father?" And you just see the anguish in his face. He's going through so much shit, and you really feel that. His relationship with Hakuri as well, I adore. Not just as like a fan of shipping them, but their connection is really nice, and I really like how they're mirroring each other. And his just faith in him as well is just really, I don't know, really lovely. He can't go into favorite ship though, because he has so much to grow. And I think he's only going to get better and better and better, and he is going to end up with these for sure eventually, unless Kagurabashi falls off a cliff, which I'm praying it doesn't, and I don't think it will, because it's phenomenal. Another 2023 manga character, Gakuro, kind of sucks. No, he definitively sucks. Gakuro is boring. He has no source. He just kind of stands around while other characters either tell him to do stuff or do stuff for him, or he'll just like randomly activate some BS power up. I don't know. He's a very frustrating character. I'm gonna put him pure. Gil from I Said Gil. Why is this random axed manga character here? It's because Gil is the best with axes. That's why. He's also just a nice little guy character. Obviously not as strong as like Gon and stuff, but I do find Gil endearing to an extent. Kind of like Shio. Shio's a bit better, so he's gonna go there. Juzo Ogami is an interesting character. So Juzo has like the adult sensibilities of a 30-40-year-old man, however old he is, which at the very beginning is really cool, especially because he falls in love with learning and stuff. But over time, I think his character's slipped a lot. It's gotten kind of weird and frustrating. I don't absolutely hate him or anything. I don't think he's mediocre either. I think he's okay. But he isn't going to go much higher than that, I think. Hibaru Yotsurugi. We're getting into the brand new characters here from this year. Hibaru's okay so far. He's a punch boy. He hasn't really done too much of note. I like him. I hope he develops a bit more. There is some parts where he looks like he's going to snap and do something, and his kindness is nice and all, but we just need more time with him. I'm going to say Ichi for the last. Shoujo is, again, a bit like Samon, who I talked about earlier, except he does have a bit more heart to him, I feel. Maybe that's just because I've read more shoujo. But he's this kind of narcissistic prick, which I love. He likes bullying children, which I think is really funny. And he loves things like card games and model kits, which I like. And he is kind of horrible in the best kinds of ways. He's such a good character. I really, really like him. So I'm gonna put him. Do you know what? I think I like him more than like Dash. I'm gonna put him here. He's like a less evil version of Dash, I guess, if he loved model kits. And then we go to Ichi, who, do you know what? Ichi the Witch could be axed. It could be axed in like a few months or whatever. Who knows? I'm fairly confident it won't be, though, due to the pedigree of the two authors working on it. Ichi so far is an interesting character who has me slightly polarized with his whole hunting angle, but the last few chapters have warmed me up to him. I'm gonna put him in good. I think we are in safe hands with Nishi. I think she's gonna give us a really fun character with Ichi. Who I keep moving up because I keep thinking about him. I'm gonna just shove him in the middle of good here. I think he's gonna be good, but definitely could have the most variance because this is a brand new ongoing manga with like 4 chapters. So this is my list. I don't think I'm gonna move anything around. I have kind of ordered them, although I will say I don't feel comfortable with like my favorites. I don't know how I'd really rank them. Do you know what? I actually think I'm gonna move just going here. I think these are my favorites. So 7, best 7 here, and then we have the ones I think are amazing, the ones I think are good, the ones I think are just okay, the ones I think are mediocre, the handful I think are bad, and then like the few horrible examples of protagonists who need to burn in some oil, and then a healthy dose of ones I just do not know. This has been fairly fun to do. I'll leave the tier list in the description for anyone who wants to do it. If you have complaints with the list, I've gone through a bunch of complaints and changed stuff already. I probably won't change stuff again because it will probably be mostly minor stuff. I don't think I've forgotten anyone like exceptionally important. Maybe in the future I'll add to this. I could go absolutely bonkers and do like every shonen protagonist ever, every Shonen Jump protagonist, although that would lead to it being filled with manga protagonists you would never have heard of or can't read, so I don't know. But this was just a little thing I did for fun. Making the tier list was a lot of fun, and seeing other people's tier lists is really cool as well. So if you want to like add me on Twitter with your finished ones, you can. I'll leave a link to my Twitter in the description, or you can join the Discord as well, which is a good place to discuss a bunch of Shonen Jump stuff. Other than that, please watch some of the other videos I have on the channel if you are new. I just have tons on Shonen Jump, Shonen Jump's history, on X manga, etc. And yeah, I'll have some other stuff coming out soon. Probably a bunch of X-File videos and the eventual history video. But that's going to be it for me. I'm going to give myself over to future me to do a Patreon readout and to close all of this out. But if you really like what I make, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It helps a ton and you can help influence the direction of the channel a bit. Alongside this, you can listen to the Patreon exclusive Trent Talks podcast at any tier, and you'll get to be thanked at the end of my videos, with you getting your own little doodle at the $3 tier, like Kinocha, Jade, Kaizuku Garu, Sorokul Zero, Holly the Apothecary, Mayu, It's Faco, Yellowtail, Lay Sloggett, Chris P. Bacon, Cho Henshin, Full Metal, Unquestionable, and also EB, Vako Draws, and Otaku Gamer X at the $1 tier. Thank you all so much for being patrons. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to be kind and take care.